it is not Abu Jinapor. It's not a minority, Mr. Speaker, who is giving the president names. No, Mr. Speaker, when you go out there on the street, it's the Ghanaian youth who are talking about that. That the president promised to create jobs, and yet he's come, and the talk on the street is that Mahama Bako terminations, baby. Mr. Speaker, and that is why they have named him. We haven't named him. The minority hasn't named him. They have named him Terminator number 1, and call on the president to rise up to the occasion to jettison the promises. And indeed, the president, when he addressed this house, made the claim that he had formed the leanest and most effective government in the history of our country. So I want to submit that you can have 10 ministers, another government can have 20 ministers, and the government that has 20 ministers may have a smaller government machinery, a smaller government size than you who have 10 minutes. And I want to demonstrate that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's on record. The record is that the pegging or ranking of officials of the presidency are as follows, Mr. Speaker, since the inception of the fourth Republican dispensation. The Chief of Staff is pegged at the rank below the Speaker of Parliament, but above a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, a senior presidential advisor is pegged at the level of a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. So a senior presidential advisor, by all intents and purposes, their salaries, emolument, conditions of service is equivalent to a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, a presidential advisor is pegged at the level of a cabinet minister who is not a member of Parliament. A presidential staffer is pegged at the level of a non-cabinet minister who is not a member of Parliament. And a presidential aide is pegged at the level of a deputy minister. These are the rankings since the inception of the fourth Republican dispensation. Mr. Speaker, so if you want to see the size of government and its bearing on the national exchequer, Mr. Speaker, don't just look at ministers and deputy ministers. Look at the government holistically. And Mr. Speaker, I want to submit that if you look at this government holistically, there are ministers, deputy ministers, senior presidential advisors, presidential staffers, presidential aides. President Mahama has formed arguably one of the biggest or largest governments in the history of our country as it relates to the cost on the national exchequer. Mr. Speaker, why do I say this? Take, for example, the president has appointed Dr. Valerie Sawyer as senior presidential advisor in charge of government affairs. Her rank is a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. So her salary, her emolument, conditions of service, everything to do with her office is at the same rank as a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. The Speaker, he's appointed a presidential advisor on economy, appointed presidential advisor for 24-hour economy, presidential advisor in special aid to the president, presidential advisor on national anti-corruption program, presidential advisor on diaspora affairs. The Speaker, he goes on to appoint presidential advisor, presidential staffer, and special aid to the vice president, presidential staffer for Black Star Experience, and then presidential staffer for diaspora affairs. Mr. Speaker, then he goes ahead to appoint 5 policy advisors to the vice president. Mr. Speaker, he tells the country that he's appointed a minister in charge of agribusiness, and yet he's appointed director at the presidency in charge of agriculture and agribusiness. My good friend Peter Buama Otukono. The Speaker, he says he will not appoint deputy regional ministers, and he appoints 16 presidential staffers in charge of the 16 regions of our country. The Speaker, I want to submit that these presidential staffers in charge of the 16 regions of our country, in essence, as it relates to the cost on the national exchequer, are in fact, indeed, and in substance, deputy ministers of state. Mr. Speaker, he then appoints, Mr. Speaker, listen carefully, please. Mr. Speaker, he then appoints one presidential advisor on media, 4 directors of communication at the office of the president, 5 deputy directors of communication, 2 communication specialists, 5 technical communication assistants, 1 media aide, 1 assistant media liaison officer, 1 communications consultant. That's because I've done the mathematics and I want to submit. That's because I've done the mathematics that I want to submit, and I do this not from a partisan lens, but I do this as somebody who had the privilege and honor to serve as Deputy Chief of Staff. I know how it works. In terms of the cost on the national exchequer, the president has appointed 100 ministers and deputy ministers. The president has established a Ministry of Youth Development. I want to refer the House and my good friend, Honorable, I will tender all of this, Mr. Speaker. I will tender this. I will tender it. Mr. Speaker, but Mr. Speaker, the Honorable James Agalga, my very good friend, has talked about how the MPP government terminated some appointments. Mr. Speaker, assuming without admitting that that even happened, shouldn't our governance move forward? Shouldn't we have good governance? And indeed, when we promise resetting, what does that mean? But Mr. Speaker, more importantly, may I refer the House, Mr. Speaker, may I refer the House to Article 191 of our national constitution, which states, and I quote, "A member of the public services shall not be dismissed or removed from office or reduced in rank or otherwise punished without just cause," end quote. Mr. Speaker, we are building a nation, and there are hundreds and thousands of people out there who have lost their jobs. I think our friends from the other side, the Honorable James Agaga, should join us to appeal to the president, just as he took an oath, Mr. Speaker, on the 2nd schedule of our national constitution, where he said, and I quote, "to protect and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana," end quote. Article 191 is a provision of the Constitution of Ghana, and the president is enjoined to indeed defend and protect this provision of the Constitution. The president, in the same schedule, swore an oath to do justice to all manner of persons. Some of these people whose appointments have been terminated, some are NDC members, Mr. Speaker. Some are MPP members. Some are non-partisan. Some don't even know what happens in politics. And yet, a president who says he'll be father for all has terminated the appointment. When President Mahama was leaving office, Mr. Speaker, he appointed Mr. Joseph Whittal as the commissioner for Shrad. He appointed Joseph Nkrumah as chairman of NCCE. On 23rd December 2016, he appointed Daniel Domevilo as Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, it is not Abu Jinapor, member conclude. It is not the minority. It's not the minority, Mr. Speaker, who is giving the president names. No, Mr. Speaker, when you go out there on the street, it's the Ghanaian youth who are talking about that. That the president promised to create jobs, and yet he's come, and the talk on the street is that Mahama Bako terminations, baby. Mr. Speaker, and that is why they have named him. We haven't named him. The minority hasn't named him. They have named him Terminator number 1. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, we call on the president to rise up to the occasion, to jettison the promises.
Mr. Speaker, I really got astonished when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, our president, my president, came to this house and only stated just one out of the relevant primary macro indicators and painted a picture as if the economy of Ghana is in coma. What message are we sending to potential and prospective investors? Why are we creating panic in our country when there's none? Mr. Speaker, one thing that everyone should understand is that when it comes to the economy, it is not one having his or her discretion to give an illustration of a picture. It deals with facts and figures, numbers, numerical description. Mr. Speaker, the number one and the most important primary macro indicator to show whether a country's economy is doing well or not, number one is the GDP. You can't choose to say anything at all. 2016, God being so good, it is the same present president that handed over Ghana to His Excellency former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. GDP, as my brother said, just to re-emphasize, was 3.4. Mr. Speaker, we left over 6%, almost twice. Mr. Speaker, three most important secondary macro indicators all over the world in assessing any economy. Number one is the mainstay of your economy. In Ghana here is agriculture. They left 2.7. We left 4.5. Then you come to industry. It's very unfortunate that my senior respectable MP, Honorable Haruna, he made a statement that NPP government destroyed the private sector. I stand to be corrected. Private sector is the key and definitional element of dealing with any industry in the world. They left industrial growth of 4.3. We left 8.9, almost twice. Mr. Speaker, then you come to services. They left 2.8. We left 5%. Mr. Speaker, then you talk about the fiscal space in terms of consolidation to show whether your economy has a future, is strong or not. They left a negative figure. We left a positive figure. Mr. Speaker, take that aside. Could we have said that the economy was so bad and dead and was in ICU, intensive care unit? Mr. Speaker, when one is intensive care unit, you cannot even raise your hand. We are still performing our obligations. This country outlays billions of cedis every month for emolument, paying workers. Were we paying them or not? Where did they get money to pay workers in January? Mr. Speaker, let us be. I don't want to use any vocabulary because I'm dealing with a statement of the president. But let us be very careful the kind of picture we paint to this generation and the world. Mr. Speaker, all the pro-poor policies, both in kind and cash, we left those that were performing efficiently and effectively well, including free SHS, paying billions every month. Mr. Speaker, I want to come back to this whole issue about debt. Yes, we left a little over 70% debt to GDP. That is not too good, yes. But Mr. Speaker, we need to contextualize this and explain it well. I want any professor in the world and in Ghana here swear with Quran and Bible and say what I'm saying is a lie, because we are tired of misinformation. Mr. Speaker, when in the history of this country where Ghanaians, public and civil service workers, were asked to stay home but they were paid, have we forgotten so soon? They went through a period of some months of no working but they were paid, all of them in this country. Mr. Speaker, even after that they ran ship for over 11 months. 10 will go 2 weeks, another 10 will go 2 weeks, and they were paying them. Mr. Speaker, private sector sacked over 40,000 people in this country, paying corporate taxes. We ran revenue shortfalls of 12 billion in this country. That was when the world grew negative 3.3. That was when the debt to GDP of the world went to almost 300%. We even did well. Had it been the NDC government, debt to GDP would have been 1,400. Because we are better managers of the economy. Mr. Speaker, all that we are talking about is that, Mr. Speaker, I want my brothers to understand. I want my brothers to understand. I want my brothers to understand. If the economy was in coma, in ICU, how come such a developing country such as Ghana, you are the social democrats. In economics, you are supposed to adopt what we call a contractual fiscal policies to roll out pro-poor policies. NDC government cannot boast of one social and pro-poor policy. The poor child's need, not even one. Which one? Which one? Which one? Tell me. You are not capitalistic. You are socialistic, but you cannot roll out one pro-poor policy. One. Even teachers and nurses allowance, you know you are running a better economy. You cancel them. Mr. Speaker, I want them to understand the fact that when it comes to managing the economy of this country, Ghanaians cannot have any hope under you. Mr. Speaker, no wonder.
Thank you. Please wind up.
Yeah. No wonder that when they were coming to power, they sang a nice song. Asampa is where official NDC members are torturing soldiers in order for their people to do what I'm saying. Asampa is where private properties and homes are being attacked. Our constitution states without ambiguity and debate, Article 18(2)(a), that no one shall be subjected to the interference of his private home and properties. So Asampa is that you are attacking poor people in our country today. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
I want to end with this. I just want to end with this. I want to tell them today, when you have impaired productivity, when your market is not working, when you have revenue shortfalls, where you rely on is debt financing, and when your GDP is not growing, definitely. So it was an uncontrollable factor.
Thank you.
But before they came to power,
thank you.
They have inherited far better economic.
Thank you, Honorable Stephen.
Handed over in 2016.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.